Hi everyone, I'm Natalia. Welcome to my channel and welcome to wrap up a final video on tarot, shadow work with tarot and oracle cards for beginners. This 5-part mini-series I'm making for people who are interested in studying shadow work with tarot and oracle cards, or for people who already do this work and maybe want additional information. I do have an intensive class on this, link below if you're interested. And I will also link below all of the other classes in the series, but they're also going to be in a playlist titled with the same name. So we are at a final video where I wanted to share some tips and just some kind of like pros and cons and things I learned over the years with the shadow work. Also things I have become a little bit more knowledgeable about when I created my intensive course. One of the first things that I want to stress out is that there is no one particular way to do shadow work with tarot and oracle cards. So even my way is not the only way. My way that I have, the method that I created, the fishing method of shadow work and tarot in my class, is the method that is anchored towards work of Carl Jung, in a sense that it's anchored to Jungian concepts of shadow, unconscious, concepts of ego, concepts of Jungian psyche. And I use the same concept that Jung did, in a sense of uncovering shadow and then how to integrate the shadow into the self. That's just one way to look at it. Jung did coin the word shadow, and he did coin the understanding of the concepts of the shadow in human psyche. So I tend to anchor my work in Jungian work. Some people don't. Some people may anchor a little bit. Some people may deviate far and wide. So having said that, there's no one way, because Jung himself has never used the words shadow work, and Jung himself has never put together, hey, this is a manual and this is the only way to do it. And even if he did, that's just his way anyway. So we have to constantly question and challenge people who put things out there. You should even question and challenge me as well, and think critically for yourself. So what I really want to stress out is that if you're doing something and you're calling it shadow work and it works for you and it helps you uncover things within yourself and it helps you to grow, and it helps you to accept those things and integrate them, and it may deviate from what I've been talking about on this channel, then keep doing it. Clearly what you've been doing has been working. The proof is in the pudding. So keep doing whatever works for you. If you want to try on some of the concepts and those 3 essential pillars I talked about in video number 3, you can do that. Other than that, you don't have to. So do whatever works for you. And if somebody comes along and says you're not doing it properly, well, that's just not true. There's no such thing as doing it not properly. There's just your way of doing it. So keep doing it if it works for you. So having gotten that out of the way, another thing that I want to say about shadow work and tarot is that, in my opinion, it is very, very challenging work, because it forces us to confront ourselves. Most of us don't want to confront ourselves. It is very, very hard to really, really look at ourselves in the mirror, and not only look, but also have courage, and being able to face what we're seeing and being able to accept what we're seeing. For that reason, it is very, very challenging work. And because it's such a challenging work, I really want to stress out the importance of gentleness, the importance of being compassionate and kind to yourself. If this is something you're doing for the first time and you feel really bad that you're not doing enough of it or not often enough, please don't. I think the most important thing is some of you are at least thinking about this work, or any kind of work really, that helps you to understand yourself better and helps you become a better human being and a better person, because that's really the only way we can save this world, is if we are evolving into better human beings. Then our relationship to everything around us, including resources, changes too. And that's super, super important. So be mindful with yourself. As I said in the deck section of the video, pick a deck that is going to be supportive and balanced. Don't just go for the deck that is going to be direct and to the point, especially if you're doing it for the first time, because it might be overwhelming. If you're doing shadow work and it stresses you out, take a break, take a breather, practice self-care, walk away from it. This is not something that You have to journal 24/7. Again, there's no one way, there's just what works for you. And you have to really step into it and do it a little bit to find what's the best option for you. For me, I have to be in a right state of mind to do this work. Not only do I have to be in the right state of mind, I have to block out a particular, at least in the very least 1 hour first thing in the morning on some days to be able to look deeper within myself. Sometimes I'm not, it's just not going to happen, not in a mood. And so I don't do it. I just listen to my intuition. I listen to my gut. And even if somebody might say, oh, but you're just being resistant to the work, you're just pulling away from it. So what? So what? Right now, I'm not ready to confront that resistance, and that's fine. The most important thing is that I will try it again when I feel more like I am in the right space for it. Keep in mind that shadow work is obviously with tarot and oracle cards, and they're so amazing for shadow work. They're so fantastic for this work. Keep in mind that shadow work with tarot and oracle cards, while being really, really great, it's still a solo work. You're still doing something that is like taking a shovel and going deep into your psyche and digging, and you don't know what you're going to uncover. If you have a sense, if you have a knowing that you're going to uncover something really wounding, or you're going to uncover something that's deeply related to trauma, please be extra gentle with yourself, because as you know, I say that healing and trauma, I have a video on this too. With tarot decks is wonderful, wonderful tool, but we have to know whether we can cope with what might come up. Sometimes what might come up is so much for some of us, it may fragment us, meaning it may break us into little pieces, which for some people may take weeks to then come back together in the whole. And that's a very destabilizing feeling to experience. So I want everybody to be their own kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not teacher, I don't know why teacher comes to, although I do want all of us to be our own teachers, but I want you to be your own mindful, I guess, self-awareness cap, to be self-aware whether it is something you can do. Trust yourself. And if you feel like you can't really go there because it's too much, you can sense it's too related to trauma, it is then best to leave to a therapeutic office. If you're able to engage in therapy, that probably is best for that. Or maybe to do it where you do have somebody actually there with you to support you through this process and hold the space for you as you go through this process. So just be very mindful with yourself and pay attention to all of those things. Don't just rush into things. That would be my other tip. My other tip in doing this is that I don't know why, and I don't know how this whole thing started, that we do tend to perpetuate the idea that shadow work is a winter season thing or late fall, October. The minute I see October, I see on Instagram and all over the social media, shadow work time, shadow work decks. And I think it's amazing that we're all encouraging each other to dig deeper, but let's remind ourselves, this is not a seasonal thing. Working on ourselves, whether it is shadow work or just working on ourselves to better understand who we are as human beings, should not ever be a seasonal thing. It should be an ongoing thing. It reminds me of Valentine's Day. I don't like the day for the same reason. Why do we need Valentine's Day? To acknowledge people we love. Or Memorial Day. Why do we need to wait for Memorial Day to go visit loved ones at a gravesite? So keep that in mind, that this is not a seasonal thing. It is anytime you really want to work on yourself, and you should want to work on yourself as often as is fits within your lifestyle, fits within also yourself and your needs too, because that's really important. And ideally, it's important to you. And if growing and working on yourself is something you don't give a shit about at all, then I gotta tell you, this is very wrong channel to pick for that, because my whole channel and everything that I try to create, I try to sprinkle a little gold dust of helping all of us to be better people. And the only way I know how to be a better person is to work on myself. And I know that that is true for the rest of us. And I really want us all to be better people, because that's really what the world needs. So keep that in mind when doing shadow work. Another thing to keep in mind in shadow work is do plan self-care too, because you never know what you're going to uncover. You never know what's going to come up. It might be something not that big and overwhelming. It might be something you didn't even realize was deep down within. So do plan some form of self-care. I'm very mindful. If I engage in this, it's on a day when I'm off. I don't do this, let's say, an hour before my individual clients, because that just, I think it's going to be too much. So I do this on a day off, and then I always make sure that when I finish up, if I do happen to uncover what underneath my shadow is just one sitting, which is rare for me, then I'm mindful. I make sure that if I need to, I can lie down. If I need to take a hot bath, I can take a hot bath. I'm mindful of my time. That is the luxury I have because I don't have children. So I am my own solo cat, my own well, kind of a big cat, panther, my own panther, I guess. Some of you may not have that luxury. Some of you may have a tight schedule. So again, just be mindful of your lifestyle and how you can make this fit the best way possible with self-care intact. So those are going to be some of the best tips and pros and cons when it comes to shadow work. Another one is just be open-minded. Don't be afraid. The more open-minded you are, the less resistant you're going to feel. Like I always say, there's nuggets of gold down in your unconscious, and you will be so much better for uncovering those nuggets of gold because they are wonderful and they're amazing and they're so worth looking at. And if there's not even nuggets of gold, you're going to be so still happy to uncover and to embrace that part of yourself, because all parts of yourself are valuable, even parts of yourself you don't think are the best. None of us are the best human beings. None of us are saints. This work is not about becoming a saint. This work is becoming more self-aware, to become awakened. And awakened in a sense of, it sounds like a very new age word, but awakened literally because so much of who we are is unconscious and is not on the surface or a conscious awareness. So awaken in that sense, it comes to the surface of awareness. So be open-minded, be excited, look at it as an exploration, as fun, as something that like a playground. Sometimes we play in a playground in a sand and we dig into the playground and we find a little treasure. Maybe somebody left a little toy soldier buried in there and we get all excited. Or maybe sometimes we dig into the playground and we find dog poop and it's not pleasant. But guess what? You can still wash your hands and no harm done. So the same thing, if you uncover your own poop, guess what? Yeah, recognize you have your own poop and you uncovered it. Doesn't mean that your entire being is poopy or has to smell. So that's actually a great analogy. Keep that in mind. And that's what I would recommend in this pros and cons. I think this work is amazing. I think it's fantastic. I think it's essential. I think it's playful. It's fun. It doesn't have to be dark and scary and intimidating. I think some of us make it sound like it is more than it is. It is definitely challenging. I'll give you that. I think it's one of the most challenging work. But even challenging work can be creative. Even challenging work can be very heartfelt and heartful. So that's what I wish. If you have your own tips or pros and cons, share below. Hopefully this mini series are going to help you to get started. If you've been doing shadow work, hopefully it's going to add something more to your little toolkit or to your large toolkit, whatever size your toolkit is. Comment below, share your experiences, and I will see you guys all next time. Goodbye.